So in this section, we're going to be talking about what sort of breastfeeding positions there are and what ones you might like to try in your breastfeeding journey. Now, one of the most easiest ones in those early days, that skin to skin position where you are in a sort of almost flat semi-sitting position, you're laid back and your baby is on your chest like this. And what they do is use their instinctive reflexes to work with gravity to bob and navigate and seek out your breast and eventually find the breast and attach on themselves. Now, the more they get time to practice this in the early days, the quicker they will get at doing this. And this is a great one to use at any point when you're feeding. However, this one isn't so easy when you're out and about in public. So there are some other positions that you can use. Now, a lot of people like the go-to cross cradle, which we looked at in the first part of this section, where the baby is across the body. And then once they've attached onto the breast, you bring that arm in and around and you can relax into the feed. And then you can bring your pillows to prop under your arm, under your baby perhaps, so that you can relax into the feed. One of the other positions that's quite nice is something called the underarm position. And this is where your baby is coming from underneath your arm and round the side. So this can sometimes be called the rugby ball hold or football hold, and it's basically because it's how we would tend to hold a ball under our arm when we're playing those sports. But just call it whatever makes sense for you. Now, I like to think of this one as a really useful position if perhaps you've had a cesarean birth and it really takes that pressure off of your tummy. And this is a really good one if you're planning to breastfeed more than one baby at the same time. So you may be expecting twins, and lots of twin breastfeeding mothers will go to this position and have both babies in their underarm. They may have one baby across the body and the other one in the underarm. Just find what works for you, because some mums who have twins feed one baby at a time. But this is a good one to know about. This is also a good position if you have quite larger breasts, because most mothers who have bigger breasts will say, I can actually see more in this position and I can get the baby much closer to my body than I can in the cross-body hold. So in the underarm, we're still going to use that acronym CHINS, where we're going to have the baby in nice and close. The head is free to tip back. The baby's head and body are in line, and we start with the nipple opposite the nose and we wait for that big wide gape. When the baby opens wide, we swiftly bring baby onto the breast leading with his chin. And then once he's settled into the feed, we can then bring those pillows in and around to then relax into the feed. Now, sometimes it might be helpful to think of this position like how you hold a clutch bag on an evening out. Nice and close under the arm, and baby will feel really secure that way. If you've got quite a long baby and their feet are hitting the back of the chair that you're sitting on, you can wriggle your way forward and put pillows behind you, and that will stop your baby's reflexes of pushing their feet against a firm surface and ending up too high for the attachment. Or the other thing you can do is if your baby is coming on a little bit high, then what you can do is just twist your upper body away from your baby. And can you see here we go from nipple to mouth to nose to nipple without having to move baby. So just a slight twist in the upper body will help enable your baby to be in the correct angle before that feed. Another position that you may want to try is something called the koala hold. Now, this is also known as the straddle hold, or sometimes it's called the jockey hold. Basically what it is your baby straddling your leg on the same side that you're feeding. They come in really close to you. You have their head free to tip back. Their head and body is in line, and we start with the nipple to the nose. Now, if you're finding that your baby is much higher than your breast, you can straighten out your leg that the baby sat on, so that as you lower your leg, your baby comes from underneath the breast instead. We wait for the big wide gape, and the chin is already leading, and baby comes in swiftly leading with her chin. And then we have a really nice position where the baby is actually sitting up to drink. So this is a quite good position if you find that you've got quite a fast flow of breast milk. Your baby may feed a bit more comfortably in a sitting up position with their head tipping back, as opposed to trying to drink fast flowing milk laying on their side. But remember to utilise the leg that your baby sat on by lowering the leg, so you go from this position to this position, and sometimes a little lean forward here can help too. I really like this position if your baby has been found to have a tongue tie, because it really helps your baby's chin to indent into your breast, and that helps to get the milk to flow if their tongue is restricted. Now, once your baby is attached in the koala hold, you may find that after a little while you might want to just sink back into the chair and rest your baby on the crook of your arm, and you then have landed in the laid back feeding position, and this can be a really nice one as well. So the last position to talk to you about is the side lying position. This is where you lay on your side in your bed and your baby is also laying on their side next to you ready for a feed. This position can be really useful for numerous reasons. You may find that if you've had some stitches after giving birth, that actually coming off of your bottom for those feeds can be really, really nice. You may find that actually your baby is quite fractious at the breast in the early days. Perhaps they've had some help to be born, so for example forceps or a ventouse. This can make their head and shoulders a bit more sensitive to being held. So the side lying is quite nice because you don't actually hold your baby's head, neck or shoulders during the feed. Now obviously I can't demonstrate the side lying hold sitting up in a chair. However, speak to your midwife, because if they see you at home or if they're seeing you on the ward, they might be able to show you how to do this position. But essentially what you're going to be doing is starting on your side in the bed, having your baby on their side in the bed, and use the arm that you're laying on as your pillow. This will help lift the nipple towards the baby's nose, and then you've got your other arm to keep your baby in nice and close. Now, babies don't need as much guidance in this position. They don't have anything on the back of their head, so they tend to tip back quite well. And all they do need is to just be brought in and up to the breast when they open wide, and guide them in, leading with their chin. Sometimes mums find that actually they secure their baby in close with a blanket. So they might lay on a blanket first on the bed, place the baby and them over the blanket, and then bring that blanket round, and you can then tuck it in under your opposite arm so that you've formulated a bit of a kangaroo pouch. That can keep your baby close, and then what you've got is your other hand free to do a little bit of guidance to help the baby with attaching on that way. This can be a bit of a game changer in those early days when your baby may want to feed frequently at night to help your milk making production, and babies instinctively feed more at night in those early days. So what I would recommend doing is heading over to the Lullaby Trust website and searching co-sleeping. This will give you all the information to make sure that your baby is as safe as possible when they're in your bed during a feed. And actually the side lying hold is the only position that you're not holding your baby for a feed. So rather than on a busy night, your baby is wanting lots of breastfeeds and you feel very tired, rather than sitting on the sofa and accidentally falling asleep this way, it's going to be much safer if you have your baby next to you in a safe position. No blankets, no pillows, no quilts or duvets that are, near your baby or loose. And then what you have is you're not holding your baby. So if you accidentally dozed off during the feed, your baby's not going to move in this position. So it's definitely something to keep in mind, but before you have your baby in the bed, make sure that you've got all the information to make sure it's as safe as possible.